This is very important subject. There are many things for you to learn. Is it possible for either man or God to forgive one's sin? Is it possible for anyone to forgive our sins? Not as a theory, but for your understanding and to develop your hopes and confidence, and also to mold your future life, your destiny. This knowledge is very important because many people have different beliefs or views regarding this. And all the other religions directly preach that God can forgive the sins committed by us. But when we analyze and think unbiasedly without depending on our faith or belief, there are certain things that we cannot agree with them. That is why the Buddha did not encourage us to maintain this belief that there is a supernatural living beings in this world who can forgive the sins. Sins means all the evil and wicked things that we commit to harm others. That is the definition that we can give for this word sin. The direct answer to this question you can find in the Buddha's teaching. It is in Dhammananda. Can you remember, without quoting the Pali word, the advice given by the Buddha, because I have mentioned this on many occasions. Can you remember? Anyway, without wasting your time, I can give the quotation in Dhammapada. Atta vagga. Atta means self. Attana katang papam attana sankilisati. Attana akatang papam attana visujjati. Suddhi asuddhi pacchattan na anyamanya visodhaye. This is the sayings of the Buddha. The meaning. In simple language, we are responsible for all the bad deeds that we have committed. To face the consequences. And we are also responsible for all the good deeds that we have done to experience a good result. Easy to understand. Then, this line is more important. Suddhi, asuddhi, purity or impurity in our life or in our mind. Na anyamanya visodhi. Another person cannot change. whether that person is a Buddha or God or any other supernatural living being, another person cannot change. Take for instance, we do a lot of good deeds, meritorious deeds. Assume, although we are not sure, a God or a supernatural living being get angry with us and he wants to punish us or disturb us or make our life to become miserable. But according to the Buddha, it is impossible, because we have accumulated enough good karmas to defend us. So others cannot disturb us if our good karmas are strong. Now, on the other hand, after committing certain evils or bad things or sins, we go and pray and worship and beg, asking forgiveness for the sins committed by us. But many people believe that it really works. But the Buddha says it does not work. Just only for your own satisfaction, to console yourself, you go and confess. But it is impossible for you to avoid, to escape the effects of the bad deeds that you have committed. So you are responsible for that. That means the Buddha wanted to tell us that we are solely responsible for our pleasant or unpleasant, miserable or pleasurable, fortunate or unfortunate life. But others can disturb us, definitely they can disturb. Devas also can disturb us. Certain evil spirits also can disturb us. Human beings also can disturb us. Animals and some other living beings also can disturb. But if our good karmas are strong, they cannot disturb us. I give you another example that you can understand this very easily. When the resistant power in your physical body is very strong, various kinds of germs and bacteria and viruses may enter into your physical body. But your physical body, the constitution in your body is strong enough to maintain your good health. And those viruses or bacteria cannot create sicknesses, and they will be attacked by the various other cells and energies that exist in our body to maintain our health. Now take for instance, we take food. The same food prepared by the same people, three of us, and two people can digest very easily. But one person complained that he could not digest, he is having diarrhea after taking that food. But the other two are very normal. Or certain things, certain ingredients or bacteria that which consist in that food very easily disturb only one person, but not others, because the resistant power is strong in the other. The other person is very weak. So karmic energy that we maintain in our life also exactly like this. When our good karmas are weak, a little bit of disturbances that which come from external sources also can create sicknesses, and life also become very miserable. So others are not responsible for that. Our own receptive power or resistance power. There were many stories, Buddhist stories, where Buddha has pointed out to wipe out the misconceptions that many people maintain. And this belief was very common in India during the Buddha's time, that when once we committed a bad karma or a sin, it is impossible for us to escape or to avoid the bad effect unless and until we pay for this. Somehow or the other we must pay. And this belief was rejected by the Buddha. There is a method, but not by praying to anybody. Then another religious group believe, or still there are, after committing certain evils or bad deeds, they think they can get rid of the bad effects by torturing their physical body. There are so many methods. Starving without taking food, and suffering and tolerating the pain of certain sicknesses without taking medicines, and by burning certain areas in our physical body, and taking certain vows to practice many things which create enormous pain, because they believe by doing that they can get rid of the bad effects or the bad karmas that we have committed. The Buddha has rejected this belief also. He never encouraged anybody to suffer physically to practice a religion, can lead a normal life. Again, some others believe by taking holy baths in certain places. And by performing various kinds of religious rites and rituals and sacrificing animals, they can please God. Then the God will forgive them for their sacrifices. And the Buddha rejected this belief also. Then many others, these religions are very active all over the world. Although you have committed a lot of sins, if you believe in God, if you pray, the God will forgive you. Then you can go to heaven. And this belief also rejected by the Buddha. And there was another religious group, I do not know whether still exists or not. When somebody dies, the relatives pray to the king of the heaven and asking or appealing him not to accept our so and so if he happen to go to hell. And they do a lot of offerings to this king of hell. Now, in the West, worshipping to devil or Satan is spreading, become very powerful now. Because they got fed up with God. They say, we have been praying, no answer. We believe if we pray to devil, we can get some sort of answer. So, spreading now in the West. So we are doing all these things for our own satisfaction, not knowing the truth. Assume we are very ignorant, our understanding is very poor. If not, we had a lot of misunderstanding or misconception about this. If not, due to our selfishness or craving or anger, we have done certain bad deeds, disturbed, harmed or destroyed others. Now, if there is no God to forgive our sin, then what could be the fate from the Buddhist point of view? We have to surrender, isn't it? Then you lose confidence in Buddhism. So you think the Buddha never says that he will forgive our sin. He also says that God also cannot forgive our sin. But we cannot live without committing bad things. How nice if there is a God who can forgive our sin. Then why not we accept that religion? To fight this misconception, here the Buddha has given the answer for that also. And these sayings of the Buddha also you can see in Dhammapada. Yocha pubbe pamajjitva paccha so na pamajjati so imang lokam pabhaseti abbha mutto chandima. We may commit certain bad things due to our ignorance or due to certain other circumstances. Later, we realize that our actions are wrong. Our behavior is wrong. By realizing this, we decide to change our way of life. First thing, we try not to repeat, not to commit such evil deeds in future. Second thing, from that day onward, we start to do more and more good deeds. That means meritorious deeds. How to perform meritorious deeds? We cannot do any kinds of meritorious deeds without helping others, without doing some service to others. So we can continue. Not enough. One more. We must try to understand why our minds force or persuade us to commit such evil deeds. Then try to train that mind. Why anger arises? What is the cause of it? Why we develop selfishness? And why do we crave for others' things? By analyzing in this way, we try to train our mind. It is called meditation. Meditation means by realizing the nature of our mind, we try to train this mind. Of course, these two methods are very difficult for us to practice. To do good, to train our mind, but it is very easy for us to go and pray to any god asking forgiveness. That is why people prefer that method. Why worry? We go and pray, after that nothing to worry. God is there. Buddhism never accommodates this belief because there is no justification. Why we cannot justify? If there is someone who can forgive the sins committed by us, we always keep this in our mind. Why worry? Later we go and pray and ask the God to forgive. Then we can do again and again the same thing. And where is the development in that mind? Before you go and ask your forgiveness, your duty is to learn this, to understand. These are the wrong thing, these are the correct thing. That is what. religion, especially Buddhism, try to teach us. Now you are here to learn this, how to mold your future life, how to carry on your life with confidence, how to avoid your frustration. The more you develop this understanding, automatically the weaknesses fade away from our minds, then we can go ahead with confidence. There is nothing to regret. And another method introduced by some other religions. If you have committed certain sins, you have to repent for that. By repenting, you can get rid of the bad effect. The Buddha did not encourage this also. Don't repent. The more you think, the way how you have done your evil deeds, the more you pollute your mind. Don't think again. Just ignore. Don't dig out the rubbish. But you can build up, you can develop more and more good deeds without digging those rubbish. And the Buddha has explained this again about his disciples. Why? My disciples are very cheerful. When somebody came and asked this question, he said, I have seen the followers of many other religions at that time, but I noticed your disciples are very cheerful, very serene. What is the secret? Then the Buddha explained. So what did he say? Atitang nanusocanti. My disciples do not regret by thinking what they have done earlier. There is nothing for them to regret. By realizing those things are bad, they have stopped already. Nappajapanti nagata. They also do not worry about their future. We create unnecessary worry and suffer for nothing by thinking and worrying about the future. You won't gain anything. You lose confidence. Your duty is, again the Buddha says, your duty is to do your day-to-day work without neglecting, without worrying about the past, without worrying about the future. If you fulfill all your duties in your day-to-day life, there is nothing for you to worry. By neglecting all your duties, you go on worrying, thinking about your future. What do you gain? Nothing. Now here you can understand. The Buddhism is a practical religion, not just to maintain some sort of belief. Every item introduced by the Buddha for us to practice and see or to experience the effect within this lifetime before we die. Now you can practice this method. Don't worry about all those things that you have done earlier. Try to do good as much as possible within your capacity. Don't worry about your future. Do your work. There is no such thing as future. When we reach that stage also, we take that as present, not future. And what we are experiencing today as present, day-to-day life also, long ago we might have thought as future. So there is, in reality, there is no such thing as future. But be wise. So when you attend to your family obligations, your responsibilities, your work and your earning, and also your duties towards the religion and the country in various ways. If you neglect any of them, then you get into trouble. Then you have to worry. Tena vanno pasidasi, the Buddha says, that is the secret. Why? My disciples are cheerful, maintain good complexion also, look very serene. So, unfortunately, we have not learned these teachings of the Buddha. So, we make mistake, we are not perfect. You cannot find a single human being on this earth today who never make any mistake. Impossible. On the other hand, you cannot find a single human being who never does good deeds. A pious, devout, religious man, supposed to be a holy man, also make mistake. Most dangerous gangsters, terrorists, thieves, murderers also do lot of good deeds. So you cannot find 100% bad person or 100% good person. An example is given in Sanskrit language. It's a very good parable. The nature of human beings. Says, doso pyasti guno pyasti nirdoso naiva jayate sukhumalasya padmasya nalo bhavati karkasa. Lotus flower. Padma means lotus flowers, very tender and very lovely, colorful, fragrance, everybody like this lotus flower. But the stick that holds this lotus flower got thorn, very rough, cannot touch. And the rose also like this, thorns are there. Flower is beautiful, wonderful, attractive, but the sticks contain thorns. So, doso pyasti guno pyasti. In every human being, you can find certain good attitudes and bad attitudes, both. When we develop more and more good deeds, then people say they are religious people, they are good people, but they too have certain bad habits and certain weaknesses. When people commit more and more bad deeds, we brand them as bad people, wicked people, but they too have a lot of good qualities and principles. So this is the way how we had to measure. The Buddha, having seen so many so-called wicked people, very cruel, murderers, gangsters, and cannibals who lived on human flesh. But he did not give up hope. He approached them, enlightened them, and paved them the correct path for them to give up that ugly way of life, to be good, to be cultured, to be religious. That is why we should not give up hope. So here the Buddha says, we make mistake due to our ignorance or due to certain other weaknesses. But later, when we realize that what we have been doing are wrong, then we give up. Then try to be good. Then he says, when the moon is completely covered with dark clouds, we won't get enough brightness, moonlight. Only during that period. That is the time that we also maintain that our minds are clouded with either selfishness, anger, jealousy, grudge, or evil thought. Then we make mistake. When these dark clouds moved, just like that moon, again get back the brightness or the moonlight. See how Buddha has given us confidence. But we must know the correct method. I told you earlier, the many things that people believe to get rid of the bad effects are rejected by the Buddha. But he has introduced this method. Since it is difficult to practice, people try to choose the easiest method. Now let us try to find out which method is more practical, more reasonable, more useful. Whether simply go and do some offerings and recite some prayers to certain God, after committing evils, to forgive your sin, or stopping all your bad deeds. That means without violating, disturbing others, and doing more and more good deeds. That means by doing some service to others, by cultivating your mind, training your mind to be good. Now, which method is more practical, useful? But the man who goes and pray asking forgiveness never change the mental attitude. Again he come back and commit the same evil. Now see the difference? Now this is one area. Now let us come to another area about our karma. How karmas and karmas eclipse and affect, topple, suspend, promote. And this is very important. Now we have accumulated many kinds of karma. Karma means good and bad action, mentally, verbally, physically. 3 ways for us to accumulate karma. And we cannot live even a minute, even a second, without accumulating either good karma or bad karma. The mind. While we are sleeping also we accumulate certain karmas. Because our anger or jealousy or craving or selfishness started to project through the influence of subconscious mind, then create certain vision as figures, pictures. Then we fight. At that moment, subconscious mind influence, impurities we maintain even at that time while we are sleeping, and also good deeds. But the thing is, those karmic forces are very, very weak, because we have not done them intentionally by using our normal mind. Just because the subconscious mind influences us to behave like this, we develop them, but very weak. Sometimes without affecting, without creating either good or bad effect, those karmas automatically extinguish or evaporate, because they are very weak. Certain other strong karmas eclipse them, overshadow. Besides that, every minute when you develop hatred, ill will, your enmity, your jealousy, your selfishness to gain something, when you plan to bluff another person to gain something, every thought that you have created in your mind produce bad karmas going on. All these are mental forces, mental karmic forces. Remember this. That is mentally. Again, physically, those evil mental forces damage, create lot of disturbances to our brain cells, nervous system, blood circulation, heart, and various glands we have here and there which produce different kinds of hormones to sustain this physical body. Poisons, especially a stomach. I think each and every person might have experienced this. How we get stomach complaint when our minds are upset. Sudden shock, fear, and terrible anger. All these things directly affect the stomach. And then later develop excessive gastric juice into the stomach, then develop ulcer and later cancers. Mind creates all this. We have never learned these things earlier. Why many people want to go to toilet so many times when mind is upset? That is more than enough for you to understand the danger. This is only noticeable effect. Then how many unknown damages have taken place in our physical body? We first, by polluting our own mind, we create bad karma. Again we ruin our physical body. So mind creates bad karma. Then mind also creates good karma. When you develop your kindness towards others, when you try to be honest without bluffing others, that honesty is a wonderful principle that gives lot of confidence for you. Your honesty, very dynamic mental energy, and not necessary for you to surrender, to bow down to another person if you are an honest man. Because of that weakness you always surrender. When you reduce your selfishness, thinking, why not I contribute to others to relieve their sufferings also? There you develop so many other good thoughts and reduce your selfishness. All these things are good karmic thoughts. If not, without go on thinking or allowing all sort of rubbish ideas to come and disturb your mind, why not spend at least few minutes just to radiate your mental vibration, thinking in this way. You may not take this seriously because you do not know how effective this method is. Thinking, may all those beings who suffer, who are in fear, may they get the chance to get rid of their worries and fear and suffering. So you go on thinking, you radiate your vibration, mental vibration. So when you develop this thought, continue for a few minutes. At that time, you did not allow any of your evil thoughts to come and occupy the mind. No chance to develop your anger, grudge and cruelty and all the evil forces. Some sort of purity remains at least for a few minutes. When you read, I do not know whether you have read, Voice of Buddhism, our 25th anniversary issue, the first article, the effect of the merits of dana and metta. Did you read? So what did you learn from that article? The way how Buddha has explained. You go on offering your food and everything in every possible way, was spending thousands and thousands of dollars. Then you go on searching most holy people in this world, religious people, to offer, thinking you get more merits. Finally you find out the Buddhas, so Arahantas, so Pacceka Buddhas, to offer dana and this and that, thinking you get more merits. But the Buddha says, if you can spend at least few minutes by radiating your metta, your loving kindness, the merits that you gain by doing that is higher than all the other merits that you have done. See, we never think. Because when once we keep our mind under control without allowing that mind to create evil thought and make use of this mental energy to radiate, this vibration change the atmosphere, change the mental attitude. If you have not done this, I can tell you as a practical method for you to understand how effective this method is. Assume you have some enemies who don't like you. They hate you. Then you also hate them. That's all. That is what we are doing. When they hate you, you also hate them. That's all. That is not the solution. This method was practiced by many people even today, not only during the Buddha's time. So when you come to know that somebody is angry with you, in fact you cannot convince him also. You may go and talk to that person, why do you want to get angry with me? I have not done anything, but he is not ready to withdraw his anger or enmity. Then what you have to do? You practice this. Just keep quiet and directly focus your mind toward that person. Without harboring your anger, your jealousy towards him. You go on radiating your metta, your kindness, your love toward that person. When you practice this for some time, you can see how that person changes his mind, his mentality. So one day he will come to you. This is the practical method. This is the way actually how to practice real Buddhism. This is the method introduced by the Buddha. It is very easy for us to perform certain ceremonies and rites and rituals, and they are important to a certain extent. but means to an end. That is not the final solution. We had to come to this area. Then we developed our own mind, and we also can change others' mind. I have told you this story, a Jataka story, one of the birth stories of the Buddha. During one of his previous births, he was developing only this particular meditation, metta, nothing but loving kindness every day and night. The king of that country was very righteous, very reasonable and understanding ruler. He wanted to rule the country without disturbing anybody. So he discussed with many people. They say no complaint whatsoever. But the king thought in front of him they don't like to complain. But he wanted to find out whether there is anybody in his kingdom who cannot satisfy with his way of ruling the country. So what he did, he went disguising as an ordinary man, and when he was walking somewhere, he saw a man was sitting under a tree. He went to see him, had a talk. Yes, what are you doing here? He said, I am doing my meditation. For many years I have been doing this. It gives me a lot of happiness and peace. Whenever I got time, always come and sit down here and do my meditation. Meanwhile, that man who was meditating gave him fruits from the same tree under which he was sitting. But everybody knows the fruits of this tree is very bitter. No one can eat. Then the king asked, how can I eat this? This is very bitter. Then that man says, you better eat and see. Now then, you might find out very sweet. It's very funny, I have never seen in my life, but this particular fruit is sweet. Then the meditator, do you know the reason? He said there are two reasons. By using our mental energy, even the bitter things also we can convert to be sweet things. I have been radiating my loving kindness for many years under this tree. So my mental vibration completely purifies the whole area. That is how wild animals also become very tame around that area. They also become very friendly. They never disturb such people. Snakes, lions, tigers in the jungle never disturb because of this radiation or loving kindness. Then another reason he told, but he does not know who this man is, the meditator. The king of this country is a very righteous, religious man who never disturbs another person, no discrimination. And this virtue, his good qualities, also created a very good atmosphere. And when you refer to certain other discourses of the Buddha, like Mahasihanada Sutra, Lion's Roar, the title of the sutra, Lion's Roar, he says, how sicknesses, how the lifespan going on reducing, why so many sicknesses started to develop, and why so many miseries, worries, problems, troubles start. Why more and more volcanic eruptions and fire and floods and epidemics take place? When the man's way of life starts, moral degeneration, morally, ethically, when the man's mind is bankrupt, more and more selfishness, cunningness, jealousy develop in the man's mind. All these evil forces ruin not only human life, everything that which exists. Trees, plants, flowers, fruits, water, elements. Changes take place because human mind is the most energetic force in this world. Atomic energy also not that powerful. So that mental energy can use for any kind of destructive purpose as well as constructive purpose. Today we are using mostly for destructive purpose. That is why there is no peace in any part of the world. Everybody is in fear, complain, accuse. And we are also responsible. We are also contributing. But we accuse others. On the other hand, if we know how to divert this mental energy for good purpose, we can do wonderful service to others as well as that we can find out the purpose of our life, the aim of our life. A simple example. A waterfall comes down from a rock or a hill. Every day going on pouring water and just here and there. An engineer who goes there and studies, then he make arrangement to make a dam to collect the water without wasting or unnecessary things. Then can start hydroelectricity to provide electricity to illuminate the whole country by using that accumulated water. If not, divert this water to proper agricultural cultivation without wasting. So at the moment actually we are wasting our mental energy just like that waterfall. So if you can harness and accumulate and divert through proper channels, we can serve others, we also can live peacefully, then prosperity, happiness, peace we can experience. So we won't get this from heaven, my dear friend. You can pray 100 times a day unless you change your mind. It is a lazy man's job praying. You have to adjust your own mind. So, the answer to this question, although we have committed certain, use the word sins, we should not surrender. We should not give up hope. If you know the technique, how to cultivate our way of life from that day on. Just now I told you there are three things we have to do. First thing, we have to stop our evil deed. Second thing, we have to do more and more good deeds. Third thing, we have to train our mind, strengthen our mind, then we get more confident what will happen. The karmic forces that we have developed later, good karmic forces, can topple, can overcome many of the bad effects of the bad karmas that we have committed earlier. This is the way how we can forgive our own sins. Another person cannot forgive this. I can forgive my own sins not by praying, not by suffering, but by doing these three things. Now, which one is more practical and reasonable? Now, this is the correct answer. So, there is no reason for you to give up hope. Again, amongst those karmas, good karmas and bad karmas, we increase and reduce the effect while we are doing that, while we are committing it, according to the mentality, mental attitude. It's not the mere action. It depends on our thoughts, what we have developed in our mind to do this. Understand? Assume we have done certain bad deeds by developing jealousy, hatred, anger, take revenge. Then you have completely polluted your mind. Action may be a very minor one, but the karma can become a very big one because you have polluted your mind. Again, you have done a very big thing, supposed to be very bad, but without polluting, without developing your jealousy, anger, hatred or evil forces. Under certain circumstances, you had to do. At the same time, your purpose, whether because of your own benefit or selfishness, if not, to do some service to others or to protect others, to save others. You may commit bad things to serve others, not for your own benefit. So the motive is good, but action is bad. Therefore, we cannot say there is nothing wrong. It is wrong, but not that bad, because we have not polluted our mind. And this karma can become a weak karma, and the other one can become a very strong karma. It depends on our mind. People cannot understand this. Another reason. When you do certain things, duration, time, how long we spend to fulfill this action, either good karma or bad karma. Certain things we do suddenly, instantly. Certain things we have to think for days and months or years. We go on thinking how to do this. Then again to prepare how to do this. The more you spend your time by thinking, talking and doing something, whether it is good karmic deeds or bad karmic deeds, you develop the degrees of your karma according to the time, the duration. Take another example. Suddenly your anger flare up, because anger is sleeping just like a cobra. You keep under control, but there is no guarantee that cobra never come up. Yes, it is true. Irritation, when somebody provoke and disturb, suddenly this anger flare. Then you have no controlling power in your mind. Then you want to do something, you want to kill on the spot. But you never thought earlier that you want to kill anybody, you want to harm anybody. You could not control your anger, suddenly you kill. And another person go on thinking for months how to kill this man. He may kill slowly without even torturing, but he accumulates more bad karma. That man who kills suddenly on the spot, not that bad. Yes. Now you go to court, a certain murder case. What is culpable homicide? Judges study very carefully whether this man had an idea earlier that he wanted to kill. No. Suddenly he could not control his anger, therefore he has done. The judge never used the death penalty, imprisonment. Either 20 years or life imprisonment, but no death penalty. That is called culpable homicide. See the way how the Buddha has introduced all this. Very justifiable way. These are the things that we have to learn, how to handle things. So we also must know how to do bad things. Now you have learned so many things. Because definitely we are doing bad things. Don't behave like hypocrites, Everybody does certain bad things. But you must know the technique, how to do. Without harming yourself too much. Then you can go on developing until one day you will be able to get rid of all these problems. I think it's enough. So next Friday, what is the subject? Number 5. If other religions promise salvation after death, why do Buddhists have to suffer in samsara, repeated birth and death? This is also a very good one. Others always give only shortcut. The Buddhist says rebirth can take place as human beings, animals, devils and ghosts and the devas and brahmas go round and round, and why should we waste our time? Why not we accept those religions? Immediately after our death we will be in heaven. We discuss this matter. This is also a very important subject. Akasattha Dhammananda Devanaga Mahijjika Punyantam Anumoditva Chirang Rakkantu Loka Sasanam Devo Vassatu Kalena Sassa Sampatti Hetuche Pito Bhavatu Loko Cha Raja Bhavatu Dhammiko Idango Nyatinam Hotu Sukhita Hontu Nyatayo Imina Punya Kammena Mami Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Tu Yava Nibbana Patya. The Reverend Premaratana, the name is of course very well known name in this country, Premaratana. In 1932, when I was 13 years old, he was 4 years old. And I am the one who taught him A, B, C, D first time in his life. Not in English, in Sinhalese. Ayan, ayan, uyan, uyan, yan, iyan. A, B, C, D in Sinhalese. He can remember this very well. So, how happy I am to listen to his sermon. Now he can speak so fluently Sinhalese by using the words that I have taught him. And this Reverend who is next to me, we both are the disciples of the same teacher, on the same temple. From our childhood, we were together. And both are well-known preachers in Sri Lanka and very good for chanting. They have golden voice. You can hear on the 29th. Purposely, we have invited them to assist us. So, he gave a very meaningful sermon, giving a quotation from the Buddha's teaching. I can interpret item by item the same thing that he preached if he can assist me item by item. ඒ කියාපේ මම තෝරනවා එක හැබැයි මට කියන්න ඕනේ ඒක මොකක්ද කියලා මම එකක් තීරනවා ඊළඟ කියන්න ඕනේ. Okay? First one I can remember. Right. So, the way how Buddha has introduced real human values, where we can find real human values, Manushya Dharma. What are the duties that we have to perform as human beings? Because this dharma or these values you cannot find in other living beings, animals and various other living beings. So what is the first duty? Not to forget our father and mother. Whether they are good or bad, that is their business. As children, there are certain duties that we have to fulfill. We are indebted to them. If we neglect this duty, there is no real human values in us. That is the first one. Next one. Second duty. As fathers and mothers, your second duty is not to neglect your own children. You have to give them proper education, guidance, advice. Pave them the correct path to lead a respectable life, to maintain the family traditions and the dignity of that particular family. If you neglect your duties, your children can spoil everything. Third duty is mutual understanding between husband and wife. This is very, very important. I remember a small girl, about 6 years old, small girl, came and asked these questions. Can you tell me what is the most precious thing in this world? Then I told her it's very difficult for me to tell because there are so many valuable things people accept as most precious thing. Then she told me the most precious things here in this world is love. Again I told her there are various kinds of love. Which kind of love? Then she laughed and told me, love between father and mother. If this love is not there in that house, in that home, the whole family can be ruined. Having seen how father and mother treat each other, love each other, fulfill their duties towards each other, children also follow. So if this love is not at home, you miss the real human values in your life. The fourth duty. Although you are well-to-do persons, you should not neglect your relatives. Your blood relationship is very strong, your feeling. Sometimes we get angry with them. They can become our enemies also. It is due to certain property or the misunderstanding or jealousy. But even then, blood relationship never disappear. Inside their mind, on the subconscious mind, still they admit that is my uncle, this is my auntie, this is my grandfather or grandmother or nephew, or the relationship still there. So within your capacity, it is your duty to fulfill certain duties towards them, especially when your services are needed. In the case of sicknesses or troubles or death, or there may be many other things. That is the fourth duty, where we can find human values. As I mentioned just now, we cannot find any of these values in other living beings. The fifth one, the society in which you live. There are many things you have to observe, to avoid certain things and to do certain things. Your discipline, your behavior, your way of talking, without disturbing others, without creating enmity and misunderstanding. You must know how to associate with others. You know very well you cannot correct others. You may not agree with others. Your way of thinking and their way of thinking may differ. But even then, you must know how to adjust yourself, to behave in such a way to avoid misunderstanding. Because there are many occasions that you had to practice lot of patience. Although there are many things for you to talk, there may be many occasions that you have to be patient and be tolerant and be kind. These good qualities never create bad effects. Even your enemies also appreciate. So, in simple language, you must know how to work with others. The most important thing that you have to realize is this. Assume that there is a small committee or small community. Each and every person maintain different mentality or different way of thinking. If not, they have their own understanding capacity. Some have very limited understanding capacity. Some have very sharp and deep knowledge. But when this group work together, the clashes, misunderstanding naturally arise. And if you know this difference, then you know how to handle, how to talk to them, how to work with them without creating misunderstanding. Next one. The sixth one, also very important. You may be well educated or graduate, but still there are many things for you to learn from your elders. Your father and mother are uneducated. Your grandfather and grandmothers also uneducated. But their experience about their life, married life, family life, certain traditions, certain customs, certain duties are more advanced because they had learned a lot through their trials and errors and the mistakes that they have done earlier. Then they can reveal to others, remember, when we were young, we have done that, we behaved like that, and we had to suffer. After gaining his enlightenment, the Buddha has said, during my previous birth, I have done this mistake, and I had to suffer because of this. He did not want to hide. Well-known, I think, Chinese saying, that elders have taken more salt than the rice that you have taken. That means experience. Therefore, when you come to know that these people are elders, these people are educated people, their knowledge is very advanced, their experience is very advanced. So your duty is to listen to them and obey and respect them. Seventh duty, Sila Achara. Sila means discipline, Achara means behavior. You must know how to maintain your human dignity. You must know how to do things without incorporating or getting involved with certain immoral practices, bad things which disturb and hurt others' feelings. And by maintaining honesty and controlling your cruelty and hatred and grudge and evil thought. So if you can maintain, you know very well you cannot eradicate at once all these things, but you can suppress them, subdue, keep them under control and behave as cultured people. They are known as cultured people. Cultured means not cultural practices. How far we have cultured our mind, how far we have trained our mind. So if you know how to behave as cultured people, then people follow us, people respect us, people don't like to disturb us. They know we are harmless, we are a reliable person, we never bluff others, then everybody respects us. Human values there. The eighth. This is one of the duties. All those who have departed, dead and gone, they might have done tremendous service to us when they were with us. Maybe our father or mother or grandfather or grandmother or uncle or aunties or anybody else. We should not forget them. But still there are certain duties that we can fulfill for them. Say husband and wife who lived together 50 to 60 or 70 years and one of them died. And after that, either husband or wife neglect. Never mind, he is dead and gone, why worry about that?